So when it comes to braid care, there are many questions surrounding looking after braids, wearing braids. The first thing I would say is ask yourself, why am I wearing braids? Why am I putting these braids in? Because not all sort of braided styles are truly protective. If a style is doing damage, then it's not a protective style. Also, if you're putting braids in or you're putting a protective style like that in as a sort of excuse to not look after your hair or ignore your hair for an extended period of time, then that's problematic. So if you truly are using a braids or braided style as a protective style, then there's certain things you're going to want to think about before you put them in and whilst you have them in. So the first thing is going to be what the type of the braided style is. There are certain styles that are problematic and damaging. So anything that is too tight is something that is going to potentially give you hair loss issues, especially around your hairline and your edges. So you need to look at who are you getting to braid your hair? How tightly are they installing it? I don't prescribe to the belief that I should do it tighter so that it lasts longer. It is problematic. And it's, as I said, once again, you're not putting these styles in so that you can ignore your hair. You should still be caring for your hair whilst you have braided styles in. So we're looking at how tight it is. We're also looking at the ratio of extension hair to your own hair. So I know there's a fashion trend for really big, boxy braids, but if the ratio is off and you have a lot of extension hair being anchored by very little of your own hair, that's going to cause issues. It's going to cause breakage, it's going to cause tension, you're going to lose hair. So you need to also think about the style that you're doing. Now, another thing to consider, which people don't always think about, is with extension hair, a lot of extension hair comes with a chemical coating on it that can cause irritation and itching for a lot of people. So you also need to look at removing that coating, and that's easily done with an apple cider vinegar rinse. So you just soak the extension hair before you get it installed into your hair, and then let it dry, and then you install it into your hair. Now, once the style is in, you definitely still want to look after your hair underneath it. So my take is, if you are washing your hair, caring for it, moisturizing while you have a braided style in, my personal preference is you can keep that style in for about 4 weeks. You could push it if you want, but you could start to run into issues. So my personal preference is about 4 weeks. If you're not washing your hair, if you're not doing anything, you're ignoring your hair, then, or you don't plan to wash your hair whilst you've got braids in, I would say no more than 2 weeks, because my general advice is do not go more than 2 weeks without washing your hair. And really the washing of your hair is more about your scalp. If you wouldn't go 2 weeks without washing your body, there is no reason for you to go 2 weeks without washing your scalp. It is skin at the end of the day. So you have to, because I think we get caught up in hair, but once the hair's grown out of your hair, it's dead. There's not much you can do to it or with it thereafter. You're just maintaining, and any damage you do thereafter, you can't fix it, you can just mask it. But what we need to focus on is what quality hair are we growing? And to have quality hair growing, you need to make sure the environment that your hair is growing is healthy. That's why we keep our scalp clean. So if you're gonna have a braided style and you're not gonna wash your hair whilst the style is in, no more than 2 weeks. Now, if you're gonna wash your hair, or if you wanna keep it longer than 2 weeks, then you do need to cleanse your scalp. You need to moisturize your hair as well depending on how porous your hair is or how dry or thick or coarse your hair is. You may need to moisturize every day. You can maybe get away with a couple of days. That's a personal thing. So this is where certain products come in useful. So with braids in, you're gonna want a moisturizing spray, something that hydrates your hair, preferably something that has humectants, so ingredients like glycerin or honey, which will pull in moisture from the atmosphere, keep your hair moisturized. So a braid spray or any sort of spray-based moisturizer is helpful, because from an application point of view, it's a lot easier to get onto your hair with the braids in. Now, when it comes to washing your hair, you don't want to apply a shampoo neat to your hair or braids, because if you think about shampoos, they're quite thick and gluggy. And if you apply that to your scalp straight, you run the risk of it building up, and you can't really rinse it out well because of the braids and the extension hair in, which could then cause other problems later. So my personal recommendation, when you want to wash your hair with braids in, get a jug or applicator bottle. Funnily enough, you know those exercise shakes, the bottles that you use for those, I find those perfect for this. Add the shampoo, add some water, water it down so it's like a really watery, soapy liquid, and then pour that through your scalp. Concentrate on your scalp, get full coverage, then massage your roots gently with the pads of your fingers so you're really getting into your scalp and getting it clean, and then rinse and rinse, rinse, rinse thoroughly. So that's probably the easiest way to wash your hair with braids in, but you can also do something like an apple cider vinegar rinse, because apple cider vinegar is really good for cleansing the scalp without disrupting the oils, the natural oils on your hair, and it will give you a measure of cleanliness. It's not as great as a shampoo, but it can be a good sort of in between. And then same with conditioning. If you're going to shampoo, you want to condition after, but you don't want to apply a thick cream neat onto your hair. So this is where a leave-in conditioner, spray-based leave-in conditioner, will be really beneficial for you in keeping your hair and putting the moisture back in after shampooing. So the main takeaways with braiding is don't ignore your hair. If you're going to wash your hair, you can do about 4 weeks, I would say. And if you're not going to wash your hair, 2 weeks max.